What's up, y'all? TBrown31 here, back with JaboctheGreat. We are here once again with the last word. This time we're looking at this weekend in football, college football week 7, NFL week 7, or it's week 6, I should say. Moving by pretty fast, both seasons are. But let's go ahead and start with college football. Notre Dame, we were going to do 2 picks for this one, but Notre Dame screwed up this past weekend. They lost, so the matchup against USC isn't as important. So instead, we're going to do just one. Oregon and Washington. This is a ranked top 10 matchup here of 7 and number 8. We are both going with Oregon in this one. We were talking before the video. Main thing here, I think, is just Oregon. We're going to bank on their defense more against Washington than we can Washington's defense against Oregon. That's really all it comes down to. And Oregon has more of a balanced attack. Offensively, they're running the ball really well as Bo Nix playing well. As for Washington, on the other side, it's mainly been Michael Penix Jr. just going absolutely crazy. They had a bye week as well as Oregon last week, and he's still right up at the top there in passing yards this season. So he's going to continue his Heisman race, I think. But I would pull for Oregon in this one.
Yeah, this one is a tough one to pick. I like Michael Penix Jr. a lot. I would like to see them come out with a dub in this game. He's played really well this season. Obviously, his stats still look really good after taking a week off, which so do Bo Nix's. But there's a decent gap between the yardage between them. Otherwise, they've played very, very similar. But yeah, I think when it comes, these are 2 good offenses, and I think Oregon's defense is just slightly better, and they're going to be able to hold off Washington a little more than Washington's defense would be able to hold off Oregon's. So if it comes down to a close game, which I think it will, I think that gives Oregon the edge to pull out a pretty narrow victory over one of their rivals. We're going to jump there from the to the NFL, and we're going to start with the Niners and the Browns. Both of us are going to take the Niners. Browns have had a good defense this season. There's not a lot to hate about their team. Their offense hasn't been that bad either, even though they've got rotating quarterbacks and running backs and injuries going on there. But I think that the Niners kind of undisputedly looking like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL right now. They're firing on all cylinders, special teams, defense, offense. It's just we talk about the Cowboys being a machine. The Niners look like just a smooth running machine right now. And I mean that in a very positive way. So I think that the Browns could maybe put up somewhat of a fight, but the Niners have had a dominant season. They've had some decent victories. You think about the Cowboys win, that's a big one with how the Cowboys have been playing. We're a little close to the Rams, but that's a divisional rival. You expect some things to get a little gritty there. So I think the Browns are not going to fare too well in this game. The Niners will probably improve to 6-0.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm picking the Niners as well. I would say I'd agree with your assessment. The Niners are the best team in football right now. Eagles just right behind them, but I'd go with the Niners. If you look at their wins this year, only one game did they allow more than 16 points. That was against the Rams. That was that nail biter. And, that one, the Rams kicked the field goal at the last second too. So that would have been 20. So their defense has been really good this year, especially against the run. They've been crazy against the run this year. And every game they scored 30 or more, most recently 42 against the Cowboys. So I think part of it is just the Niners just clearing away the better team. The other part is the Cleveland Browns are just one of the most confusing teams in the NFL right now. Their last game, they took a week off, of course, was against Baltimore, and that was a 28-3 loss. That was without Deshaun Watson, who seems like he's still going to be out with torn rotator. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Shoulder, torn rotator cuff, not exactly sure. They haven't been insanely transparent about that. But it doesn't seem like he's going to play, and it looks like it might be P.J. Walker coming in to play for the Browns. But either way, I don't think it would have mattered as far as the result. Browns, even though their defense has been really good, overall, they're just not as good as the Niners, and they'll take the dub there. Now, moving to a team that we really haven't seen much of in, prime time slots, especially that 4 o'clock afternoon slot, national TV, pretty much in my lifetime. The Detroit Lions, they are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both teams have been pretty good this year, 4-1, 3-1. In this one, though, we are going with the Lions. I don't want to discredit anything that the Bucks have done this year so far, but again, I think they're also kind of a weird team. They just took a week off as well as the Browns did. Last game for them, they beat up on New Orleans. They couldn't get anything going against them offensively. But then right before that, they couldn't really do anything against the Eagles. I think that's just more of the competition levels for the Bucks. I think they'll beat those average teams. I think they'll beat them, but teams that are probably going to be better than them, I don't see them winning. Such as with the Eagles, and I think the Lions are right now the better team. They've been firing on all cylinders pretty much the entire season, so I think that'll continue.
Yeah, this is kind of a fun matchup when you look at like the quarterbacks here, right? You have Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield making a new life for themselves on these new teams. Obviously, Jared Goff has already been improving as a Lion. Baker has had a solid start in his time as a Buccaneer, a longer solid start than he's had in his first games elsewhere. Both these teams have been really fun to watch. Well, the Lions have been really fun to watch. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers can get a little defensive and gritty. So depending on how you like to watch football, maybe that's not the most fun. But I think that the Lions have a strong enough defense and a way stronger offense that they're going to be able to come out. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a week off against the Panthers. They still put up 42 on Carolina. Obviously, there's a gap between Carolina defense and the Bucs defense this season. But I think that they're going to get him back. The Lions are probably going to be still high flying, and they'll come out with a decent win. The Bucs could make it gritty. They could. Most of their wins have been somewhat close, right? 27-17 against the Bears is an interesting one. 20-17 against the Vikings. That was before the Vikings fully tumbled. But they made easy work of the Saints. So we'll see. The Lions, on the other hand, haven't really had many close games except for that loss that they took to Seattle, which they lost in overtime. Otherwise, and they had a close win over the Chiefs, of course. But after that, 20-6, 34-20, 42-24. So I think the Lions could pull away from this one and maybe make it look a little worse than the Bucs might want it to look. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions in this one. From there, talk about a weird game. We're gonna move to the Cowboys and Chargers. And we talked just before the show as we tried to figure out if we wanted to pick on this. We didn't end up splitting. This was probably the highest chance to split this week based on how these teams are going. But we're gonna both go with the Chargers. For me, it's really weird. Right? We're gonna have Austin Eckler back most likely. That's going to be a big help for the Chargers if he's able to play as strongly as he's been playing. They just had a week off, so hopefully that has helped him get back together. But both these teams don't really have much impressive under their belt this season when you look at how things are going. Right, the Cowboys are 3-2. They beat the Giants, Jets, and Patriots. Some of those maybe we might have thought, wow, this is big at first. But as these teams have had their seasons go on, the Jets and Patriots really aren't as impressive as wins as they might have been if we thought about this preseason. And then the Giants, definitely not. And then the Cardinals and Niners beat them. Niners maybe is an excusable one. Cardinals, on the other hand, is a tough one for the Cowboys. That strong defense getting pummeled by the Cardinals rushing game doesn't look good when you have Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler kind of waiting in the wind for you. Chargers as well, though. Lost barely to Miami. That's not bad. Lose to the Titans in overtime. That's a weird one. Titans have been a weird team. And they're able to beat the Vikings, who have not had a good season, also very close. And they come out of a close win against the Raiders. That actually ends up being their biggest win, but it's still 24-17. So two really weird seasons for these two teams. These were supposed to be two top-tier teams. They very well could end up being that. But this is they're meeting at a weird point in their seasons. Cowboys coming off of a massive loss. Chargers trying to get it back together after a bye week. I think the Chargers, again, are going to make it a close game. It seems to be something Brandon Staley is going to guarantee, is that every game is close. But I think that, their winning against the Vikings, the 28-24 range, could be where we see this one. Even their biggest win, 24-17, depending on what the Cowboys offense is able to get out. This is a weird one. If the Cowboys win this game, I won't be like, oh, man, I'm so dumb for picking the Chargers. It could swing either way, but I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Yeah, I'd agree there. I didn't want to fall into the trap of, the Cowboys just got walloped by the 49ers, so they're going to immediately lose again and think that the Cowboys are trash now. Like, no, they're still a good team. They just got completely outclassed by a superior team in the 49ers. The main issue for me with the Chargers is just they could very well be 4-0 or they could be 0-4. So They're pretty, like the Vikings. I mean, they like to keep all their games close. The only issue is the Vikings now this year, they're losing all their one score games. The Chargers are either, they've gone 2 games losing, 2 games winning. So it's really a toss up for them. I think the main issue here is just their defense, not as good as the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys defense got, I don't want to say exposed, but I mean, it got beat up. It's simple to say 42 points is getting beat up on defense. Uh, and with some injuries right now on the defensive side, uh, it's a little hard to put too much faith in the Chargers, but I think offensively, the Chargers will be able to make up for it. And getting Austin Eckler back, depending on how much he's going to be able to play, that's going to make a huge difference. And I think the Cowboys will still be reeling just a little bit from this game. I know they're going to go out and want to prove things on Monday night after this last game, but I will go with the Chargers, just slight edge over the Cowboys. And then we have the Week 6 AFC South Championship game between the Colts and the Jaguars. These two teams have already played this season, and that was a Jaguar victory in Week 1, 31-21. And we are both going to go with the Jaguars in this one. Biggest news here, Anthony Richardson is on IR, so he's going to miss at least about a month of football. Gardner Minshew has come in and actually played well. Obviously the Tennessee victory, he came in, and then the Baltimore victory came in. So obviously we've seen Gardner Minshew play well, for the Jaguars too. So we've seen him play well. I just think coming out from the beginning, I think the Jaguars will probably just be better. Um, I'm not going to make the point that the Week 1 game means everything because anybody can lose in Week 1. But I think right now, Jags are just a better team. They got a little bit of that momentum coming out of winning 2 games in London. For them, I would just hope that, getting back over here, they don't get too overconfident and underestimate a Colts team that's been in pretty much every single game this year so far.
Yeah, right. They come off a win against the Bills, which is a big one, 25-20. But it's a win where they, as we discussed on one of our episodes here, Jaguars tried their best to give it to the Bills. So they got a lot of things to clean up against this scrappy Colts team, which has beaten Tennessee, has beaten Baltimore, beat a scrappy Texans team, and took a loss to the Rams and the Jaguars, both of them close losses. So I think that if the Jaguars come in from London and think that it's going to be an easy win, then we could see a lot of mistakes leading to a loss. But Jaguars have played a good season so far. They've had some rocky moments too, right? Close loss to Kansas City. They just can't seem to ever beat the Texans, so I don't really know about that one. But I think the Jaguars will come out on this one. Again, this one could be closer than the last one, right? It was a 31-21 game, 10-point split last time. It could be a little more narrow this time. Gardner Minshew might have a little chip on his shoulder facing against the Jaguars. I don't think he would have a reason to, but you see players get hyped up against some of their old teams, regardless of the way that they moved on. I think for me, the Trevor Lawrence ETN combo is going to stay strong, and they're probably going to be able to hold off this divisional rival, even if Gardner Minshew is able to come back in and start to heat up. I think, like Terrence said, Jaguars are probably going to come in a little hotter and be able to hold on to it for the rest of the game.